This is lesson 6 for two-step equations, and they're called two-step equations because they take 2 steps to solve. And there's a bunch of different types, but we're going to focus on 2 types this year. And one is, I call them flatliners because they just are like flat in a line. And then we've got baby fractions, and I call them baby fractions because there's a baby fraction in there. So let's start just looking at this flatliner. I'm going to start with the equal sign, and I'm going to make a little fence. It's going to keep this math from this math so I can see really clearly what I need to do. I'm going to look for the side that has the variable on it. I'm going to cover up with my finger the other side. So that negative 199, bam, gone. When we solve two-step equations, we're going to add and subtract first before we multiply and divide. We're going to go PEMDAS backwards. So that means that I want to get rid of this minus 9. And I say to myself, what's the opposite of minusing 9? That's adding 9. So I put it underneath the 9, and I put it underneath my finger. I haven't lifted the finger up yet. Draw my equal sign line. The 10K comes down. Minus 9 and plus 9, they are going to zero out. I bring my equal sign down. Lift up my finger, negative 199 plus 9. I do the math. That's negative 109. That was step 1. Step 2 is to, again, look for the variable. And this is 10 times k. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is dividing. I'm going to divide both sides by 10. This crosses out. I've got k. Bring down my equal sign. And then I'm going to do negative 109 divided by 10. Sorry, guys, this is negative 190. Didn't mean to mess that up. Negative 190 divided by 10, and that is negative 19. Okay, so that was the flatliners. Look at a baby fraction. It's the same thing. I'm going to write my fence. I'm going to look for the variable, and I'm going to cover up the other side. I want to get rid of the add or subtract before I do the times or divide. So this is a plus 6. The opposite is subtracting. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. When I do that, the k divided by 4 comes down. These are gone. I bring down my equal sign. I lift up my finger. Negative 5 minus 6 is negative 11. So it was my first step. My second step is to look at this k divided by 4 and say, okay, what's the opposite of dividing by 4? That's timesing. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Means I've got just a k here. Negative 11 times 4 is negative 44. Okay. Let's take a look at this guy. So, drawing my fence, covering up the side that doesn't have the variable. I'm going to add or subtract first. I look here. This 6 is what I want to decide to do. This plus sign belongs to this fraction. It does not belong to the 6. I need to say to myself, is the 6 positive or negative? And since it's positive 6, put a little plus up there, I need to do the opposite of being positive 6, which is being negative or minus 6. And that's what I'm going to do to both sides. So these are gone. Bring my equal sign down, and then I'm going to look at 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. So that was our first step. Our second step is to get rid of this negative 3 halves. And we said before, if you've got a fraction, you should just multiply by the reciprocal, which is the flip of this fraction, which is 2/3. And we need to be careful, even though the negative sign is with the 3, if you put it in your calculator that way with the like 2 for ABC negative 3, the calculator will not like that. So just go ahead and get in the habit of putting the negative out front, because it could be on the top, it could be out front, or it could be on the bottom. And as long as there's just one of them, it's the exact same thing. So these cross out, gone. That's good what I wanted. I need to multiply this side too. I forgot to do that. I'm going to do that right now. My C comes down. Then I'm going to multiply in my calculator -3 times -2/3. When I do that, I get just plain old 2. There's one more type of problem that's not on this worksheet that I want to bring up before we talk about the rest of these guys. And that would be a problem like this. 3 minus x equals 15. You might be thinking, I don't know why this looks pretty easy. And it's not that it's difficult. It's just an easy place to make a mistake. So there's my fence. I'm going to cover up the side that doesn't have the variable. And again, oh, this 3 is out front. I'm going to look, he's plus. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Here's the place where the mistakes happen. I need to remember that this sign goes with this x. I need to bring down -x, bring down the equal sign, and then do 15 minus 3. Okay, 12. And then I need to say to myself, what number is between the negative sign and the x? That invisible number that's not written. And that's 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. So I'm going to put my 1 in there. And now I know, okay, -1 times x. If I divide by -1, that'll give me my answer of -12. So there are some other problems on this page, and what I'd like you to do is just pause the video and go ahead and work on those problems. And then I'm going to put this answer key up right now that you can just take a look at, and you can check your answers with what I have up here. So here's the 3 that we already did. Just scooch this down. Sorry about that. Okay, so here. So there's the next 6 that you can see, and again, check them, pause the video if you need to so you can actually see what's going on. And then here are the last 3 that you might not have been able to see when that was up. And again, pause the video if you need to go ahead and check these problems.